This is a Swede Speaks.
I am in Oslo, and with me I have Pastor Jan-Aage Torp.
Hi.
Hello and welcome. And as I understand it, you're a pastor of something called Oslo Church.
Yes. Oslo Church is a small church. We're located in downtown Oslo. We have a small chapel. It's about 200 meters from the parliament and right in the smack in the center of the institutions of Norway. But it's really in line with my calling as an apostle, because apostles are men and women of influence, and we work on a regular basis with the political leaders, judicial leaders, and various sorts of societal leaders in Norway as well as in other nations. So, but really the membership of our church are regular people like you and me, who love Jesus, who want to pray. And we have a strong sense as a church of being the ecclesia, the church that speaks and prays and acts in authority as men and women of influence. And that, I believe, is a dimension that is so lacking in the Scandinavian and European nations today.
I think you're right about that. And you're also the director of something called European Apostolic Leaders.
Yes. This is a movement that my wife Aina and I founded some 4 years ago. Actually, it goes way back. I studied in the early 1980s at Fuller Theological Seminary and became a student and a good friend of Dr. Peter Wagner and his wife Doris. And through the years, I've been a lot with them. And then in 1997, Peter, who, by the way, died, he went to the Lord last year, age 86, he had been hearing from the Lord about the need to encourage and to acknowledge the reality of apostles and prophets in society. And I mean, there have been many aberrations of that, many strange things that have happened under the name of apostles and prophets. But Peter has always been a wise guy. He was a professor of theology and sociology, and had his mind was in good shape. And but he saw that these giftings are the ones that really move and shake things in society.
Right.
And Peter, he defined that this is not only about the mega preacher, the one who rocks and moves the masses.
Right.
Those are very important as well. But it's even people who work in other ways, often low-key, often behind the scenes, often one-on-one with men and women of influence to bring change. And so Peter invited me to become a part of this, because I had been so isolated in Norway in the 90s, and he said, this is what you are. And I thought, oh, you're the only one who believes that. But suddenly I started realizing it. But then in 2002-03, a lot of tragedies hit my life, and I was really taken out of my real calling for several years. But then after the tragedies and God lifted me up again, I married Aina 7 years ago. We felt that the time had come to start this work again, and we were strongly supported by Dr. C. Peter Wagner and his people, Chuck Pierce and other major apostles and prophets. And I started by going around Europe to see men and women who often were alone and they were isolated and they did not have many like-minded ones. And now we are actually a movement with members in 36 nations of Europe. I just came back yesterday from Bucharest, Romania, where I was the guest in the Romanian Parliament of the Vice President, Benoni Ardelean, and several other members of Parliament. And this is the way it goes. We come together, we fight for the big issues in Europe today, which transcend national boundaries. And I know you're from Sweden,
yes.
I'm from Norway, and my nation is not a member of the EU, but strangely enough, God has given me personally a position in the EU system as the director and founder of European Apostolic Leaders. So it's a testimony to the faithfulness of God and how He makes way for the anointings that He gives to us.
Oh, wonderful. And just shortly, these issues, are they... What kind of issues would these be, the issues you're working with?
Well, one of the major issues right now is on the whole position of the family.
Right.
You know, in most countries, we've relegated this within Christendom to be a matter of pro or for or against homosexuality, which is a really important issue. But it's really more than that. It's about the whole definition of family.
Right.
You know, just 50 meters from my office, down this road on Karl Johans gate, is the agency for equality in Norway, and also the agency for children, the Ombudsman. It's quite indicative that these agencies have taken over so much of society. And even now in Norway, we do not have anymore a minister of children and family, but we have a minister of children and equality. So, you know, there's a policy in your Sweden, in my Norway,
Yes.
other nations, to do away with the term family.
Yes.
And the concept is disappearing. And do away with the concept of father and mother. Instead, we talk of parents.
Right.
Doing away with son and daughter. Instead, we talk of children. Son and daughter. Instead, we talk of uncles and aunts. We talk of authority figures. This way, we're neutralizing God-given identities. So this, along with, for example, the child protection services, which is a huge issue in Norway.
Yes.
But which really is a big issue in many other nations as well,
Yes.
but not as prevalent in the debate. So we are addressing these issues, and God has led us together with major leaders, ideological leaders and political leaders and ethical leaders in European nations who are uniting in this battle in our nations today.
Oh, good. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So I also know that you're involved in some work with Pakistani Christians.
Well, you know, through my work in the European Parliament, I have met leaders of a movement called Christians True Spirit,
Yes.
which is a legal agency of advocates who work for the human rights of Christians and also others in Pakistan. And just a couple of months ago, we had two of those leaders in Oslo for a day. We brought them up to come here, and you were there.
Yes,
and
I
that
remember.
was under the auspices of another movement that now I'm the leader of. I lead the Christian Coalition for Norway, and
yes.
that really is like the political arm of more or less of the European Apostolic Leaders Movement, but this is specifically into Norway, and it embodies Lutherans and Catholics and other denominations as well. So it's not just the Pentecostals and the typically charismatics like me,
Right.
but others also who do not speak in tongues and do not really prophesy either, you know.
Okay. Everyone who is involved in this issue, wherever they come from a Christian theological background.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think there's only one more thing I'm wondering about. I know you have a TV show which is called Idag fra huvudstaden.
Yes.
In English you would say Today from the capital.
Yeah.
What is your what are you doing in that show?
Well, it's one of the big joys of my life. Almost a year ago, my friend, the editor of the evangelical newspaper Jan-Aage Torp, he asked me to come on board and work for them a few hours a week to produce more or less a weekly TV show, a TV magazine from the capital. And I've been given liberty to shape it the way I want. And it's become a powerful tool. You know, I've just this last week I had an exclusive 40-minute interview with the Archbishop of Norway, and I've been in the office interviewing for a good 30 minutes the President of Norway's Parliament, ministers, members of Parliament, lawyers, societal leaders, and you know, it's really a great opportunity to ask questions in a positive way, like you do with me even. I'm not trying to nail them. I'm not trying to criticize them. I'm simply wanting them to share their ideas. And by doing that in a positive way, I'm able to put on the agenda issues that normally are not put on the agenda in the politically correct circles. So Now it's a secret still, even though I told you. But within a few weeks now, my weekly show will start being aired on a large TV channel,
Right.
which I'm excited about, because until now it's been on a web page, but then it will expand. So, you know, until now, I think the most viewers I had for one weekly show was 80,000, which is pretty good in the Norwegian market,
Yes,
with pretty much a one-man show, you know.
Yeah.
But we expect that to expand now to maybe into the many hundred thousands on a weekly basis. So TV is very important, and you are doing a great job,
Thank you.
Mr. Sweden, to bring issues before your people and other people's as well, through your TV show. So I salute you, and go for it, man.
Oh yeah, wonderful. God is doing great things. So before we finish this, I only want to ask you, do you have anything else you would like to add?
I have a lot I want to add.
Okay, do you have anything short you would like to add?
Well, you know, one of my big passions and my joys is to watch football. You know, real soccer football.
Interesting.
And
Yeah, right.
your countryman, Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Yes.
He plays for my favorite team, Manchester United.
Oh.
So I love that. I congratulate Sweden, have qualified for the World Cup finals in Russia next year, which I think was a great achievement, beating Italy even. So I have many things I enjoy, but my passion is about my wife, my family. I have many challenges in my personal family, but God is good, and my passion and my love is for them and for the calling and the ministry that God has called us unto.
Okay, so thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you, Mr. Johan.
And God bless you.
Same to you.
So that's all for this time. So until next time, have a nice day and God bless.